A 9-0 Seahawks lead in Super Bowl 60 behind a near 100-yard rushing effort from Kenneth Walker and a dominant defense. Brings us into this Super Bowl live at the half here on NFL Network. The Move the Sticks team is here for you. Rhett Lewis alongside our former NFL Scouts lead draft analyst Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks. Excited to be here with you with 30 more minutes left to go, keeping you company here, going through all of the action through the first 30 minutes. And look, it's been a lot of punting. We've had a lot of field goals, and we've had a lot of really good defense here. We're going to get into all of it for you. Let's start, guys, with just what stood out through the first 30 minutes for you, Deej. What do you got? Well,
a couple things. Number one, you mentioned the obvious ones. The defense for the Seattle Seahawks has been dominant, and Kenneth Walker's given them some ground game. But, Buck, the overwhelming point for me in this half is both offenses petrified of making a mistake. Like, we are not going to turn the ball over. We're going to do our best not to give you a short field, and it's been a very conservative approach.
Yeah, very conservative approach, because early in the game, both defenses were dominated. You could see them speed up the clock of the quarterback, and there were some near misfires by both quarterback. And so Seattle, the more talented team, because we ranked them from 1 to 100, we would say that Seattle has a more talented squad. Their talent has been overwhelming, particularly on defense. Devin Witherspoon, everybody on that front has been dominant. They've really taken advantage of the inexperience on the left side of the Patriots offensive line.
Felt like some of the openers were working pretty well on that opening drive for Seattle. Get down there, 8 plays, get down to the New England 14-yard line. You mentioned some of the close calls. Like, there were a couple of them there with Sam Darnold.
They were undercutting balls, man.
I mean, just barely avoided a Marcus Jones pick six, and then Cooper Kupp had the really nice catch down there on the sideline. Drive ends up stalling. Jason Myers puts the first of his 3 first-half field goals through the uprights, and Seattle was up with the early 3-0 lead. Patriots came back, and, you know, they stayed on the field, had 8 plays, but that was their only drive that ventured into Seattle territory. What have you seen, DJ, from the Drake May-led Patriots offense right now? I mean, the run game has been a virtual zero.
Well, you need to see more Drake May using his legs. I think just being a little quicker. If you're going to get out of there, use your legs and go. What you've seen is pressure getting to him, speeding him up, and then him not being able to get the ball accurately thrown, Buck. So he's taken 3 sacks, but to me, it's just deciding, okay, I'm going to go, I'm going to run, or I got to be able to slow things down after I get away from pressure. But right now, I think they've got him sped up pretty good.
I am really surprised at the way the Patriots elected to attack the Seahawks. I thought this would be a vintage Patriots offensive attack where they go empty, they spread them out, they don't allow them to dictate the terms of their pressure, and they nickel and dime the ball down the field. We haven't seen that much. No. We saw once, then they motioned Ramondre Stevenson back in the backfield. But I'm surprised they haven't done that, because that could negate some of the pressure they're getting, and that could get them an opportunity to get the ball in the hands of their playmakers.
I know, by the way, they've had success sending extra rushers. Seattle has Witherspoon's got home, and they've been able to confuse a little bit. Now you've got a 9-point lead. I'm curious to see if they change their approach just a little bit. I know how successful they've been, but say, hey, we don't even need to take any chances. We can win these one-on-one matchups with our defensive front.
Sure.
When we've got Riley Mills walking the dog and taking offensive linemen right back into the quarterback, and you've got other one-on-one matchups you like over Will Campbell, to me, I don't know if they need to be as aggressive in terms of some of the secondary blitz stuff, because a couple big plays and all of a sudden New England's right back in this game.
Well, and that's the thing, Bucky, is we look at this. DJ kind of brought it up there. Jared Wilson has struggled a little bit with the interior rush, and then on the outside, Will Campbell a couple of different times, whether it was Uchenna Nwosu or Derek Hall, who had the sack early on here, contributing to the fact that Drake May's been sacked 3 times already. How do they help that left side of the line out here a little bit?
I mean, look, you can try and lead the back end or whatever, but these are one-on-one matchups. They're not doing anything crazy. Outside of that first drive where they really heated them up with the slot corner blitzes, it's been, I'm better than you, I'm going to walk you right back into the lap of the quarterback. That's what they've been able to do. Look for them to try and continue to run it so they can set up some play-action passes, but they haven't been able to generate anything consistently, and that makes it really hard to say, hey, this is what we're going to do to help Will Campbell.
And the other thing, too, is, look, it's 9-0, but if I was going to ask you about opportunities that might have been missed in the first half, they're actually more on the Seattle offense than the Patriots offense. So there's more out there for Seattle, for Sam Darnold in this group, too. So, you know, they got to figure things out on the New England side with their offense. And I would also say, even Seattle, hey, you got a 2-score lead, but, man, you left some things out there. That ball that was almost picked at the end of the half, if that's on time and on target, it's a touchdown.
That's a touchdown.
So
it should have been.
They're close. And the other one where Sam buys a little bit of time and has JSN and just misses him down the field, which might have been a touchdown.
That was terrific pocket movement there
just got to slow it down a little bit once you get out of that initial pressure.
That's right. Let's put the 2 quarterbacks up side by side here, show you what we're working with through the first first 30 minutes with Darnold and May. Look, it has not been a show through the air. Let's be perfectly blunt about it. And we haven't really seen Drake May get out there and use his legs that much, even though that was a big piece of their win in the AFC Championship game over the Denver Broncos. But it has been an ugly first half, particularly on the New England side of things offensively. We're talking about 25 total plays compared to 39 for Seattle. 51 total yards compared to 183 for the Seahawks. The majority of those coming courtesy of Kenneth Walker, who sits at 14 carries and 94 yards. And when we talk about the Seattle defense, I mean, we'll get to the MVP part of this thing here in a little bit, and obviously we'll crown one at the end of the game. But Mike McDonald's calling a heck of a game. Some of those, and Bucky, I'll come to you first on this one. Some of those, those blitzes from Devin Witherspoon. I mean, we talked about that throughout the draft. Like that was one of his superpowers there. But they have been well-timed, well-called, and well-placed as we go forward here through these 30 minutes.
Look, man, he's a mastermind. He does a great job of creating pressure and big play opportunities for his defense, and they do it really without blitzing. So some of these pressures they were seeing from the second level are simulated pressures, only 4 men rushing, but they're dropping other guys out. They do a great job of quickening the clock of the quarterback, and then once they get them sped up, they fall back into the normal thing. So, DJ, as you talk about in the second half, more zones, it probably will be more conservative zones.
But they'll
bring somebody, but they'll mix it up. But they're talented, but he does a great job of creating one-on-one opportunities for a more talented player at the line of scrimmage.
If I'm going to look at this and figure out what the heck does New England do here offensively, where do these plays come from? To me, you've got to find the matchups that you like. And if you look at the Seattle defense, when they have had some holes, when people have been able to get to their linebackers in coverage, they've found some opportunities. Travion Henderson, to me, has to be involved in this second half. Got to get him the ball. Try and get him with Ernest Jones. That's a matchup I think you would like. But for him carrying the ball, only 2 carries for no yards there. And then the passing game, 1 catch minus 2 yards. They've got to get their explosive guys the ball, and he's as explosive as they have.
And for them, this game, it was going to have to be an inside-out game when it came to the passing game. Running backs, tight ends maybe trying to work it inside because you felt like they had great matchups on the outside. To me, the great thing about this with Bad Bunny performing, you have a long time to kind of go through these adjustments. You can rewrite the game plan if you need to, but what they did in the first half, they're not going to be able to stick with that because right now Seattle's all over it.
One other thing I want to add on Seattle's offense, which to me is an underrated part of their team when you study them, and we've seen it tonight. These tight ends block their tails off.
A.J. Warner, stud.
A lot of these runs where you give Kenneth Walker the credit for bouncing it. Well, the reason he's able to bounce it is because they're able to secure the edge, and he's able to get outside. Those tight ends block like crazy, and it always feels like a big third down and a ball, you know, and we've seen it a couple times. Sam Darnold finds these tight ends. And it's not a big, sexy, explosive play down the field, but you get a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, and you can get them the ball and get a first down.
You were saying it in the screening room as we were watching the first 30 minutes, just talking about how it doesn't necessarily matter where that play is designed to hit for Kenneth Walker, right? Because he makes it right.
Yeah, he's a creative runner, and a lot of times that gets you in trouble, Buck, unless you're uber talented. And we do this with the draft every year, where you say, guys, this guy's bounce happy. You can't do that in the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, when you're him,
sometimes
when you got that skill set, you can.
And this is more like Seattle's offensive performance on a weekly basis. When you go back and look, this is a team that ran nearly 50% of the time. They're very balanced. When you look at their offense, the production, 88 passing, almost 100 on the ground, this is kind of how they want to play. Now, the trick for the Patriots is you get the ball coming out of the half. If you don't generate anything and they have an opportunity to put another score up, nighty-night.
Well, that's kind of what it feels like because you're going to be seeing another heavy dose of K9 for the Seattle Seahawks. Already 14 carries and 94 yards and 100 yards from scrimmage when you throw in the 6 receiving yards on his lone reception. He's been targeted 3 times. Jackson Smith-Njigba has actually been targeted 7 times, but has only managed 1 reception. We are going to give some credit here for the Patriots. Zach Coors calling a terrific game as the defensive play caller.
Gonzo's playing out of his mind.
Gonzo is, I mean, that pass deflection of the Rashid Shaheed deep ball, I mean, it saved another touchdown.
Yeah, so here's the thing. If you're the defense, you've done what you wanted to do. You have been able to not give up the big plays. Yes, you concede them some yards on the ground, but 9 points should be enough to keep you in the game. The job they've done on Jackson Smith-Njigba has been terrific. That's why Cooper Kupp has been big with 4 receptions. But they have been able to do it, but as we were talking in the screening room, there was this sense that their defense felt like they needed to play. They're jumping everything. They're squatting on underneath things. So they're either going to make a play or somebody's going to give up a touchdown on a double move because they're aggressively going after those intermediate routes.
The danger territory is coming up because it feels like New England can get a score here. Okay, now we got a game. If they come 3 and out, they punt, and they get another score like you're saying, and not only are you now in a pass-heavy mode against an elite defensive line and an elite pass rush, one of the things, much like we saw last year with the Philadelphia Eagles, is it's waves with Seattle. It's not just 3, 4 guys. They've got 7, 8 guys, and they're going to be fresh. And if you're throwing the ball every down, it'll get ugly quick. So the start of this third quarter, Red, is massive.
No question. Still a little bit of ways away, but we'll get there eventually. But we still have plenty more to go through from this first half. And you know, I was thinking a little bit about, again, going back to Kenneth Walker being such a big part of the first half and probably an even bigger part of the second half because Sam Darnold has not been sacked, but he has taken some big-time hits. Yep. Especially, I mean, you look at some of the ways that they've continued to bring pressure on Darnold. They've brought through both A-gaps a couple of times with the linebackers. They've come from the secondary, and obviously their guys up front have won some matchups as well to create some of that pressure. I mean, is that the best course of action here if you're Seattle, is to kind of